Hi, everybody. It's me, Language Bay, and you're now rocking with the best. And today I'm here with Kimmoy Matthews.
Hi everyone, hola a todos.
Hey. Okay, I'm gonna try. ¿Cómo está?
Estoy muy bien, ¿y tú?
También, también. ¿Cómo fue tu
Bueno,
día?
es un día muy ocupada.
Ujú,
Tengo muchísimo trabajo,
ujú,
pero es un día muy caliente también
mm,
y muy soleado porque estoy en México.
okay. Okay.
Sí.
Yes, I remember you posted. I remember you saw. I saw on Facebook that you had all these. I won't say little. These milestones. These are happening. That you're living in Mexico now. So I'm trying to get like you.
You're in Germany. Okay, you're in Europe.
I know two Black women made our dreams come true.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm
So
excited to be here and share more about the journey.
yes, we're about to get into the A side of this mixtape. I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Okay.
So basically, you're located in where in Mexico are you located?
Playa del Carmen. It's
Okay.
1 hour away from Cancun.
Okay.
Yes.
So how is it there? Like,
So beautiful.
is it touristy or is it less touristy?
No, it's very touristy.
Oh, okay.
Here it's known for the beaches. So lots of beaches, resorts, rooftop lifestyle. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's nice. Okay. And then what's your heritage?
So I was born on the island of St. Thomas, which is about 20 minutes from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
I would say about 90% of my family is from the island of St. Kitts. So I am Caribbean all the way through.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I think you're the first person that I've interviewed so far that is not like from the Caribbean. No, I'm sorry, that is from the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
Everybody
Yeah.
else is like, I'm from New York or I'm from North Carolina or whatever. So this is cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's your native language?
English.
Okay. I always
Yes.
ask because you're always surprised. Like sometimes you assume somebody's native language was English, and then they're like, "Oh, my native language was actually, Dutch," and you're like, "Wait, what?" So I always like to. I know it sounds like one of those questions, one of those basic questions, but I always ask because I never want to assume.
No, it's a solid question.
And then tell me more about what you do, like professionally. Like tell us more about like what you do in Mexico and it's basically what you're doing.
All right. So I write for a living. I write instructions for software programs, mobile apps, standard operating procedures. So I work with a lot of larger clients, and so that's what I do. I'm self-employed, so I find my own clients. And I'm also an entrepreneur. So I started a cleaning business while I was here in Mexico. The cleaning business is servicing the DC area. And I also started a trucking business. So I am very much a businesswoman, I would say.
Apparently, that's like you basically have two businesses and then you're self-employed. So
Yes, which is
just
crazy.
right, but you're doing it because I saw that because I was like when I saw it on Facebook, I saw something in my feed about the cleaning business. So I was like, is it because I wasn't paying attention? I was like, isn't it in Mexico? Then I saw something about DC. I'm like, so did she go back or but I didn't want to ask too many
No.
questions. I figured we'd talk about it.
Now, thanks to the internet, you can, start your business from anywhere in the world as long as you have internet and phone connection. So,
Oh well,
yeah.
you and we're gonna have to talk after this because I need to start like
For
6 businesses today.
We all have to. I think so.
Right. No, we definitely do. Okay, so that's good. Wow, you're doing two businesses and you're self-employed. What's your level of education?
So I got my degree in electrical engineering.
You got a double wow.
Yes. So complete nerd here. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm super proud.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I studied electrical engineering and yeah, I also studied abroad in Spain. So I
Hmm.
studied Spanish. Yeah. So
Yes, which we
yeah.
see with the intro.
I'm sorry?
I say yes, which we saw with the intro.
Oh yes.
We're gonna get to. I want to get to Spanish, but like, because I have a question, and I don't want to forget. I guess we could go ahead and ask it so I don't forget. But so you're in Mexico right now. You used to live in Spain. So out of all the accents, dialects that you've been exposed to, what's your favorite in Spanish dialect or accent?
Oh. Oh man, that's a tough
I
one.
know, right?
I think I'm gonna say Mexican because I can understand it more. The accent of Spain is very unique. It's not that I don't like it. I think it's very unique. The vocabulary I think, is a little bit larger,
Mhm.
and a little bit more formal. Um, Now, Caribbean Spanish, I'm from the Caribbean, and it's the most difficult for me to understand.
Yeah,
So,
this is
but I've been to Argentina and spent a couple months there, and they use certain conjugations that, the way that they say you, for example, was a little bit different. Colombia is easy to understand too as well. I would say it's a mix between Colombia and Mexico. Like both of them I
really.
like. Yeah,
Oh, good to
yeah.
know. Yeah, because I met this Argentinian guy. Well, I didn't meet him. He was trying to meet me. He was living in Atlanta. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I don't even know how he found me. I think it was like MySpace or something. I don't know. But he was like, "Oh, I see you live in Atlanta. I would love to meet you." Blah blah blah. And I was just like, "Okay, well, I want to learn Spanish. So what you got?" Like that's all I
Right.
care about. And so he would teach me stuff, and like he would. I was like one day he asked me, I was like, ¿Cómo está? And then he was like, bien, ¿y vos? And I was like,
Right. Bus is for you. Yep.
and I was like, vos?
Yes.
I was
Because
like,
bus means voice in other Spanish languages. So yeah. So yeah.
so that's
It's
why
different.
yeah, that threw me for a loop because I was like, ¿y vos? And then I asked him, I was like vosotros? Like what do you say? Because I'm not
Yeah.
a native speaker, so I'm just like, ¿y vos? And then another thing is like that they pronounce their L's like sh. So like
Yes.
so like
Yes.
they don't say calle, they say calle. Like it's like a
Yeah,
J kind of.
exactly.
That
Yeah.
threw me too. I was
So
like, I'm
it's a
done with
little bit
them.
different. It's a little bit different. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think like Colombia and Mexico is a little bit standard to what you would learn in high school, for example. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that was different because I was like, what? No. So so I heard have you ever seen that video? It went viral. Pero I think it's pero like it's the video of the girl where she has to guess the accent. Like they put the blindfold on her, and then it's the guys the talking sexy like from Puerto Rico, and then there's another one from
Oh
Colombia.
yes, that is
Yes.
so hilarious. It is hilarious.
Oh my God, I'm thinking about that now because you're talking about Colombia, and I'm thinking about Argentina and Spain. Um,
Yes.
I
But I
hated the.
have to say,
Hmm?
I loved my time in Buenos Aires,
Yeah.
Argentina. I did not want to leave at all. Like culturally, I felt at home there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. I loved
Oh.
everything from the lifestyle to the food to the dancing. Like it had everything. Everything it was like a dream place to be for me. Yeah, for sure.
I want to go to Argentina. I had been looking at Argentina for a while because there was a language school that I wanted to go to. And they offered, in addition to their classes, they offer free tango lessons. I've been wanting to learn the tango
Oh
forever.
man, listen, the dancing culture is real. Like this is part of their everyday lifestyle. This is not something you do once a week or just on the weekends. Like you will see all the ladies walking around with their heels to go to the dance floor every single night. So
Wow.
I love that. Yeah, I loved it so much.
I want to go. Now I want to go because I love dancing. I do love dancing.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Oh my God. So, all right. So the next thing we're going to go into is what opportunities were you able to take advantage of because of, I think I skipped a question. My bad. Yeah. What languages do you know? Let's, because first, in order to answer that question, we need to know what languages you all know. So what languages do you know?
Just Spanish, just Spanish. I haven't
No,
learned
it's not
any
just
language.
Spanish. That's a lie. Some people don't even know anything.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. I would like to learn Portuguese at some point, but I feel like I have to find a deeper motivation. So, yeah. But it's on the list, but so far, Spanish.
Yeah, Portuguese is on my list. It's not on the top though, but it's on my list too. I went to Portugal last year and I was like, I'm going to learn Portuguese because I was just like, I know so much Spanish. I know I'm going to learn this Portuguese. And I was on Duolingo like every day. And I got to Portugal and the only thing I could say was, no falo portugués. And I'm sure I said that with a Spanish accent. I'm sure.
Yeah, I want to learn it because I have a few friends that speak Portuguese, but I don't even, outside of, speaking to them, I don't speak to them like every day. If I did, I feel like that would make me want to learn it more, but yeah. And I haven't been to Portugal or Brazil yet. I think once I get there, then that will kind of spark the interest a little bit more.
I think so too. But let me tell you, I'm so sorry. As someone who does not speak Portuguese, I was just curious and I watched some beauty tutorials. I watched one in Brazilian Portuguese and I watched one in Portuguese from Portugal, and it sounded like two different languages, like straight up. It didn't even sound like the same language. I was just like the one that was Brazilian, it was like I could understand more of what she was saying. And then the one that was Portuguese, it sounded like from Portugal, it almost sounded like she was speaking Polish. I was like, what?
Interesting. Yeah. So I would have to choose one, and it would be, I don't know. I know. The friends that I do know, they're from Brazil. I don't know anyone from Portugal, so I would have to lean towards Brazil.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what opportunities were you able to take advantage of because of the Spanish?
So outside of studying abroad in Spain, some other opportunities that came up, like last year, I was able to, was that last? Yeah, last year. I was able to go to Florida and attend the Prospanica conference, which is a conference for professionals. And Google gave me a scholarship to actually fly out there and attend the conference. So I thought that was really cool to be around Hispanic professionals and kind of get a glimpse into their world and how they approach leadership and their careers and professionalism. So that was that was a really unique opportunity. And also, since I have a cleaning business, a lot of my teams, they speak Spanish. So every now and again, I'm able to communicate with them in Spanish, which really helps cultural dynamic. And I'm also here in Mexico, so I'm able to live here comfortably and be able to communicate with the locals. So yeah, I feel like life is a little bit different when you can understand the language and speak it. So yeah, I'm here. So I would say those are the top three.
I mean, those are, I remember when you were telling me about the Prospanica conference, I remember that. But it was a while ago, and I'm sure there are people like, what's that? So tell us more about that.
So it's like a career fair, and they have workshops for people that want to enhance their leadership skills. And if you want to network, you want to advance in your career, they had different workshops, seminars, speakers. So that's what it was about. And Google was one of the sponsors. So I applied for their scholarship because they have a really strong diversity and inclusion department in Google. So they give away scholarships so that people can attend different conferences, even like the Afrotech conference and just conferences that are,
wow.
yeah, so they do that every year to, help people expand their world. Yeah, so.
Wow. And was it in Spanish, or did they have parts of it in Spanish?
No, the workshops were actually in English, to my surprise.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be in Spanish, but I still had the opportunity to speak Spanish there. A lot of the workshop leaders, they spoke in both English and Spanish. So, yeah, it was still a unique experience to, be bilingual professionally. So,
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's amazing. Because I remember when you told me about that, I was like, I think I was going through the back and forth with immigration at the time, but I was still like, yeah, I know, but I was still like, damn, I want to do something amazing too. That sounds so cool. But yeah, so that's
doing
so cool.
something amazing is living in Germany, and part of the struggle is going through immigration.
Right. They had it out for me, but things worked out, so that's good.
Yeah.
So you said that you use Spanish every day because you're in Mexico.
Well, now I'm under quarantine, so I don't really talk to too many people. Yeah,
Right.
but for example, I had groceries delivered yesterday, so they call, they speak in Spanish, and they let you know that they're here, or they forgot something, or if you want to change something. So that whole communication happens in Spanish. So
Okay.
yeah,
So,
but
yeah.
for the most part, I'm just using the internet to have Spanish conversations. I'm part of Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups. Yeah, so that's how I get my Spanish in every day.
You're in our WhatsApp group, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And then another girl in the group, she started a Facebook, but I think that one's for beginners. I went in there because I know I'm not a beginner, but I'm not like fluent yet. I'm working towards it. Are you in that group?
Yeah.
No, right? Probably not.
I don't think so. I'm in another WhatsApp group. Yeah, I think I'm in 3. Yeah, and
I'm in a bunch, and I'm just I can't. And they all on mute.
It's a lot.
Every single one of them on mute. Okay.
Yeah.
Even the ones I created, mute.
I hear you. It's a lot to keep up with. Yeah.
It is. But yeah, so okay, that's good. Because I think I like the WhatsApp groups. I pop in there every once in a while. Because I have my master's program still, so I try to be active, but I can only be so active right now. But I like the WhatsApp groups. I like that. I think it's a good way to get interaction in your target languages with people who have, varying.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I have to say though, my favorite conversation I've had was via Instagram Live. So so I forgot his name, but he's from Nicaragua. Yeah, so he goes on live on Instagram, and you can join him and have a conversation with him. So that was really fun. I like the, kind of like what we're doing now. I prefer communicating that way in Spanish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I actually was supposed to have been having an interview because I want to expand my reach, because I have a lot of women that are from the US, but I've come to realize with some tweets that I saw lately that the language learning community is Anglo-centric, because it's focused, and granted, English is the lingua franca for many industries, like aviation, for example. If you're a pilot, you have to communicate with the tower in English. You can't show up like, I'm a pilot and I only speak Cantonese. Well, then you're not a pilot. Like, you ain't gonna be a pilot today, so I get
Interesting.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, they can't. Like, they can speak their language clearly, but the communication with every tower in the world is in English. And that's
I did not know that. I learned something new
yeah, I
today.
used to work in aviation. So I used to work in aviation for a really long time. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, and then there's other industries where English, like for instance, pharmaceutical, like, medical, certain industries where it's like it's kind of hard to like get away from, or like even like with the software development here, because there's a lot of times when, yeah, they're developing software, but like the root of it all is like, the project was done in
Yeah,
English.
it is. It
The
is.
global teams communicate in English. The global team responsible for the project, they're communicating in English because somebody came from China, other person came from the French branch. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. Yeah.
so yeah, I just, but yeah, I just wanted to go back though, because you got a double E. Like, I'm just like,
That's a
as far
whole
as I'm
other
concerned, you're a
language.
genius. As far as I'm concerned, you're a genius. The end.
I don't know if I'm a genius, but I am a hard worker. I do work really hard. So I think that's the key to everything that I do. So I know Spanish well because I work hard at it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I put my effort into what I'm doing. So yeah.
Clearly. Man, I think that, and the only reason why it's like I dated this guy who's a software, well, he's a software engineer now. He was getting a degree in computer science and software engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me about his friend. I'm not gonna say his name, neither of them, but not. I mean, just to protect the innocent. He's innocent. He didn't do anything to me. He's
Oh,
innocent.
okay, okay, that's
So I'm the guilty one in that case. But he didn't do that to me. He's innocent. So to protect the innocent, I won't say his name. But he was telling me about his friend who got an electrical engineering degree. And then he was telling me, like, yeah, he's on track to make a lot of money now. And I was just like, really? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, and he's full of himself. Like, he was full of himself already. And now he has his degree. He's really full of himself. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, Raytheon called him back and they made him an offer. And he was like, he said to them, your offer's on the floor. Like, do better. Like, and they told him, okay,
wow.
yeah. And they were like, okay, well, we'll take that back to whoever we need to take that back to, and we'll call you back. And he was like, they did actually call him back. They gave him a better offer. It still wasn't what he wanted. I was like, let me look up and see if I can get a degree now in electrical engineering, because that's what life's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a rewarding career. It's not something I do now. Like I said, I'm a writer, right? And I was still able to earn six figures doing writing. So, whatever path you want to do, you put your effort into it, and as long as you know how to negotiate,
Right,
I think
that's the thing.
You could get a better paying salary. So I think the key is negotiating. I don't think a lot of us actually negotiate. So that's another language to learn.
Right, the language of negotiation. But the language of negotiation, oh, that's a whole language, because that includes like body language. You have to read people's body language. You have to be able to read, you have to read between the lines. You have to understand not so much what they're saying, but what they're not saying, how the words they're choosing to use. Because I'm like that. I can be like be very cryptic, or for instance, I'll say something and it's like I'll say something that has like a double triple entendre.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
get it.
You're the queen of communication.
Yeah, I know. I guess maybe that's why I like languages so much.
Exactly. So, yeah.
But yeah, like one of the things I did was, under the duress of my friends, don't judge me, I did get a Tinder, but I deleted it because they're off the hinges with this quarantine. Like this whole trying to invite yourself to my house, trying to
I
invite me to your house.
know.
Like, dude, I don't even know if you have coronavirus. You don't even know if I have coronavirus.
Exactly.
And then on top of that,
I was on Tinder too.
yeah.
But I have to say, Tinder is a great place to actually practice your language skills.
This is true. This is
yeah,
true.
So you learn a whole lot that you will not learn in a textbook, okay?
This is true. This is true. I met a guy
I
from
highly
Spain.
encourage it.
You said
Yes.
what?
I highly encourage using Tinder, even if you're not going to actually date. I still think it's good to learn to practice speaking because it's a different, you get to know the real deal and how people communicate. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I met a guy
It's
who I
fun.
didn't meet
It's
him.
fun.
You said what?
I said it's fun too.
It can be fun. Sometimes they're annoying. But
yes,
I met a
for
guy
sure.
from Spain here. He lives here. I didn't meet him in person though, but he's from Spain. So he wrote me, and that's another thing. Living in Europe, I like start to take notice of like names. Like I'll see someone's name and be like, "Are you Greek?" And they're like, "How'd you know?" I'm like, "Your name." Or I'll see someone else's name and be like, "Are you Polish?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay." Like in the U.S. Here, not so much because like you can tell. But like when I would go back to the U.S., I would like ask people like, "Is that a Turkish name?" And they're like, "How did you know?" I'm like,
yeah.
to live outside the
When
US.
when you're exposed to different cultures and languages, you start picking up on those things. So yeah.
Right. And I picked up on that guy's name because he had a name. It wasn't his real name, but the name he had on Tinder, I could tell it was a Spanish name. And so I was like, you speak Spanish? And he was apprehensive because, you know, they treat you a certain way if you're not from here. So he was a little apprehensive. And then he was like, yes. Finally, he was like, yes, I'm from Spain. So I started speaking to him in Spanish. Oh, after that, every other word is mi cielo, mi preciosa. I'm like, oh, that's so funny. It's so funny when you speak people's language, how they respond to you.
Exactly. They open up differently, for sure. Yeah.
Where did you live in Spain, by the way?
Madrid. Yeah. Yeah. I went
How
to
was it?
La Universidad de Complutense in Madrid. So yeah, I was there for 3 months.
How was
when
it?
I was 17 years old. 17.
Oh my God. 17.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Everything was amazing then, yeah. So
oh
that was my first time being abroad. I had to convince my family that this was the right thing for me to do because I went to Spain before I actually came back to the States and went to university for my engineering degree.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it took a lot of convincing that yes, I'm going to Spain first and then I'll come back and go get my engineering degree. So yeah.
All right. And then so when you were learning Spanish, what made you learn Spanish and when did you start learning?
So in St. Thomas is like a melting pot. There are a lot of people from other islands that live in St. Thomas, and there are a lot of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. So I grew up hearing Spanish a lot or Haitian Creole.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, I just fell in love with the Spanish language and culture. I love the food. And I even joined the Spanish Honor Society in high school.
Wow.
I studied Spanish all 4 years. So I just loved it. I love the way that it sounds. So studying 4 years in high school, my goal was to go to a Spanish speaking country for a few months. So I just picked Spain and found a program where I could go. And so at 17, I went to Spain.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then, wow, that's crazy. It's so amazing. Everybody's story.
To study abroad. So
you say what?
I said now it's pretty common to study abroad. But back then people are like, what are you gonna do? Like, that wasn't like an official program. I literally went to university and studied Spanish culture and history. So it was different from the standard study abroad programs they have today. So
right.
yeah, Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And then, so when you were learning Spanish, right? Did you ever feel like shy to speak with the natives?
Yes, I did. But I had no choice, particularly when I was in Spain, because back then, I don't know about now because I haven't been in forever, but back then, rarely anyone spoke English. And I lived with a family and nobody spoke English. So I had no choice but to figure out how to communicate. I mean, I had to learn how to open up a bank account.
Wow, that's wow.
Yeah, so I had to get over the shyness really quickly. And what I would do is basically just ask if they could speak slowly or um, I didn't have like a Google Translate app back then, this was a long time ago. So yeah, I just had to figure out a way to communicate. So now I don't have any embarrassment or shame or shyness about speaking Spanish. If I make a mistake, I don't care. As long as you're able to understand what I'm trying to say, like I'm not trying to be perfect at all. At
Right.
all. So
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
That's good. I think that's a good point with you saying that you're not trying to be perfect at all, because I have two things that I like to say. The first thing I like to say is perfect is the enemy of good. That's a
Mm.
quote from, is it Voltaire? I think it's a quote from Voltaire. I may be wrong. I'm sure somebody's going to come into the YouTube comments and correct me. So good for that. So I think it was Voltaire. But the very wise Confucius also said, better to be a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without one.
I agree. That's beautiful. I like
So,
that.
yes.
Yeah.
So I always say that. That's like those are like two of my favorites quotes. And I always try to keep that in mind with language learning, because I'm a Virgo, I'm a perfectionist. And so when you say this, like, I'm not trying to be perfect, that's really the most freeing mindset that you can
Yeah.
have with language learning.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I literally, I don't care if I make a mistake. And sometimes I can catch it right away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I shouldn't have said that. But, it is what it is. I think the goal is to communicate. So as long as a person understands what you're trying to say and you understand what they're saying, then mission accomplished. You can always practice to get, perfect if you want, but that's not perfection is definitely not my goal.
All right. Well, that's so freeing. I just, my mind is blown, because it's like I know I struggle with it because I want to be perfect at everything, and I'm the type of person that I'm like, if I'm not perfect in this thing in 2 minutes, this whole thing is getting shut down. Like,
Yeah, but we don't put that pressure on ourselves in English, right? Like it's not like we're sitting down every day. I mean, not everyone, but I would say a lot of us don't speak perfect English and we're not trying to, learn a 7-syllable word by the end of next month. We don't have those kind of goals for ourselves in our native tongue. So why would we want to do the same thing in another language, unless it's required for your job or something. But I think, everyday communication, the things that you love talking about every day in English, you're probably going to love talking about it in Spanish. So I would say just, aim for being able to have conversations and things that interest you and interest the person that you're speaking to. So,
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. That's true. I don't
yeah.
think I never put the expectation on myself in English, but I enjoyed it a lot. Like, I enjoyed learning prefixes, suffixes, so much so that my grandmother had like all these encyclopedias at her house, and I used to like go through the medical encyclopedia because she was like a nurse's
Oh,
aide.
wow. See, you're a nerd in that way. So that's your thing. So
So
that's cool.
yeah, I always
Yeah.
loved that. I liked Greek mythology, and I would always dissect. Okay, like I'd look at the characters and dissect. Okay, so that's what that word means. Like, the story of Narcissus, and and then the story of arachnophobia. You know, like I would just read.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would dissect like, okay, so that's where that word in the English language comes from, in the Roman and the Greek mythology. And I've always been like into words like that in the English language, and
That's awesome. So
yeah.
if that's your thing, then definitely I think, explore. I think that's one thing we as a people need to learn how to do, is go deeper into things that we're interested in. So I commend you for that. That's awesome.
What's something you like though? Like what's something that's in, because you're like, I know you're like a nerd too. So what's something that you're interested, like that one of the nerdy things that or someone would classify as nerdy, we'll put like that you're interested in?
I don't know. I love dancing. So I watch.
Oh no, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. You said you love dancing?
Yes. So I spend a lot of my time watching dance videos. I have my own solo dance parties. Now that we're in quarantine. But for the most part, I'm a business nerd. I love learning about how to grow a business and marketing and hiring and, coming up with campaigns and stuff like that. So I think I spent a lot of my time on the business side of things.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm just writing that down because you said that you liked to watch dancing and
Yes.
that you're also a business person. So I was just writing that down. But what was I gonna say? That's so cool. I like dancing too, so that's why I like it. I like that. Okay. What would you say is like what was, should I say, or maybe it still is, your hardest struggle with Spanish, and how like did you overcome it?
Hardest struggle, I think I still struggle with it today, is the subjunctive.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wish I had learned subjunctive before just the standard infinitive form of verbs and stuff, because it's kind of strange to think that, it's strange, but it's also beautiful to think that when you wish something, you desire something, that you change the whole verb so that it's not so direct. And when I speak, I can, it's like I have to think about changing it. It doesn't come naturally just yet.
Right.
So to say something like, I wish you had a great day, or I hope that this happens, or I want this. Like when you speak your desires, it changes. And I think that's a beautiful thing, but it doesn't like click automatically that I should change it. I'm like, I forget.
But I think in British English, they speak like that.
Okay.
So British, that's the crazy part. Like a lot of things that, like, I noticed that because I'm a nerd, right? So I noticed that because I was like at one point interested in the differences. Like I was looking up the differences between British English and American English to see like not just the accent, but the actual like what's different. And then like the way that they conjugate the verbs, for instance, the past tense, the way that they put the T on the end. That's very similar to the way Germans conjugate the past tense of their verbs, because they usually have a T at the end. Yeah. So English is a Germanic language anyway, but it's very close to British English because, American English has all the influences of like the immigrants that came, the slaves, whatever. And the thing is with the subjunctive is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, because again, I know the YouTubers here will not hesitate to correct me. I believe the subjunctive in British English is like that. So for instance, if I would say, like we would say, I wish I was, right? Like I wish I was doing that, whatever. And in British English, like the proper English, even proper English for American English, British English, they would say, I wish I were. So I wish I were. Yeah. That's the subjunctive.
That is English. That is American English.
It is, but a lot of people say I wish I was. That's not correct. I wish I were. That is the subjunctive.
I think the whole was thing that's like a recent change in like a slang way of speaking, but it is proper English to say were.
And that's the
Like you
subjunctive.
doing something. Yeah, and people will be like, you was. I'm like, that's not proper English.
Because the thing is, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I was taught that in language arts class. I feel like it was my French teacher, actually. It was my French teacher who actually told us is I were, not I was. Even though I was is correct. I was here. That is grammatically correct.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
I was here. I was. That is actually grammatically correct. However, it was actually my French teacher that explained I wish I were is correct, not I was. Because I wish and then I were. I were is subjunctive. Isn't that crazy? So I got an English lesson in my French class.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting, you know, just to say like, I wish you have, right, in Spanish. So you have is tienes. So tengo, tienes, you tienes. But to say I wish you have is espero que tengas instead of tienes. And I'm like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, and I think it translates to would have, because I have that and the thing is with German, I got it. I know how to use it. So it actually took me like breaking down German to understand like that's what Spanish is doing.
Ah, okay, yeah. So that's something I still struggle with, and especially if it's in the past, if I'm speaking in the past tense, it's still like, yeah, that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing. So I'm still struggling with it, but yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is, I think the subjunctive and the conditional is similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was giving me a problem with Spanish too, because I remember when I first learned it, I was asking native speakers like, hey, please explain to me why it changes if I say I wish or I hope or these things. I don't understand. Like, I understand what the teacher's saying, but it don't make sense in my mental mind, right?
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I feel you on that. I think I saw that because I think somebody had asked in the group. They were like basically asked like what's your pain points with Spanish or whatever. And I think some people wrote that. That's tough because especially if you speak English as a first language, because
exactly.
Especially if you speak American English, because the British English is a lot closer to like the languages that you study as far as like the grammar goes. It's a little bit closer. So so that's why like because I started to notice that like when they say certain things, because I've heard them say things and then I've heard them say it in English and I'm like, you don't say it like that. And I'm like, they're like, but we learned it in class like that. And I'm like, wow, because that's the way you say it in German. I just thought they were doing a rough translation, but actually there's a lot of things that British English people say that it equates to a rough translation. Like for us, it would be wrong, but for them, it's how they say it.
Okay.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, girl, I got anxiety when you said the subjunctive. I was like, oh my God.
It's too funny.
Ooh, girl, like for real, like my heart, I feel like that was a roller coaster ride. Now I'm like, the ride's almost over. For real. Okay, that's cool. I think a lot of people are struggling with that, but for me, what helped me, because I still struggle with it a little bit too, but what helped me like really understand it, like it makes sense to me at the very least, was because I was already doing it in German, but I didn't know that that's what it was called. Because I learned German through like natural language acquisition, so I didn't study it in school or anything. So a lot of stuff is intuitive to me. Like for instance,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so like I can't explain why. Like for instance, I was struggling. I'm not anymore, but I was struggling with saber y conocer.
Yeah.
I was struggling with that, and I couldn't understand. Like I don't understand why I'm not getting it. And then one day I was texting somebody, and I realized they have the same thing in German. Wissen is equivalent to saber, and kennen is equivalent to conocer, right?
Wow.
But the thing is, I can't tell you, oh, you use wissen. I just know when to use it.
Right.
So,
Intuitively, you know.
right, I
Yeah.
just know, oh, like I can't sit there and tell you oh, you use this when you're talking about a subject or
Right.
I
Exactly.
can't tell you. I don't
I know
know.
what you mean. Yeah. I can't break down some of that in English.
Right, exactly. And that's the
Yeah.
good thing about when you acquire it naturally like that, because the things become intuitive and it's like you kind of some of the grammar you already know intuitively without even needing
Yeah.
to
And I think
really.
studying another language helps you understand your own language or another language. Yeah. So,
So German really helped me with that. So I was in class because I had took a Spanish class in university. Finally, I decided to. So I was in class, like I literally was in the test when we was doing the saber and conocer, and I was like saber, and I was like, would I say wissen? Yes. Would I say? I would say kennen. Okay, conocer.
love it. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so okay, so I guess we could get close to the end. We'll wrap it up. What are 3 tips that, I mean, you gave a lot of tips. You've mentioned a lot of things that work for you, but what are like I guess the 3 most important tips you would give to someone who's trying to learn another language?
Number one, get a notebook. If you are not writing notes, you are not learning.
Okay.
I would recommend a workbook if you're not like, if you can't think of things to actually structure like your own plan that you write down, get a
Mm-hmm.
workbook. I can share like a link to one that I love the most. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but
Sure.
it has sentences in English and it asks you to translate it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good to help you read and write. So that's my number one tip. Number two, I would say is I actually got this from the summit that you hosted recently. So if there's something that you enjoy doing, let's say it's watching movies, you love listening to music, meditating, journaling, dancing, working out, do it in the target language that you want to learn. So if you like working out and doing workout videos, try to do it in, learn from a Spanish instructor or German instructor or whatever. So I would say try to do an activity that you love because that's what you're typically going to talk about if it's something that you love. Like I know people who are able to learn Spanish because they love reggaeton or they love like, whatever, other types of music. So if that's your thing, learn it in your target language. And then number 3 would be move as quickly as you can from listening to speaking. So it's very easy to get caught up in just reading and writing, but you always want to use your mouth and speak. So even if you're making mistakes, whatever you write, whatever you hear, repeat it. So use your voice. Those are my top 3.
All right. Those are some good ones. All righty. And then the last thing, how do we keep up with you on social? Can we keep up with you on social? Are you incognito? What are you doing?
I am on social every now and again. I'm in the building mode of my businesses. So I'm not always on there a lot, but Instagram would probably be a good space. I tend to share stories every now and again. So Kimmoy M is where I'm at on Instagram.
All right. And then I'll put that in the description box below so that people can get in contact with you.
Yes. Awesome. This was really fun. Thank you so much.
It was fun. Thank you so much for coming on to my channel to share your language learning story. I know that so many other people who are either learning Spanish or learning another language, they're going to be like very encouraged and very motivated and inspired by what you had to say today. So I thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
I appreciate it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Yes, of course, of course. So you heard it first. You heard it here. Thank you guys for tuning in and for hanging in with us. And I will see you in my next video. Besitos. Language, babe.
Adios.